Right. Hi, good evening. Hi, everybody. Today is our third session. Yeah. Sorry, we couldn't have this live because we had some technical glitch. So, yeah, Sundar, you would like to start?
Okay, yeah. So, Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Liza and I are going to talk about something that's so in Malaysia, we're going through our third phase of the lockdown. And now, a lot of people are facing different challenges. One of it is about suddenly spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, well, at least for 2 weeks, with your partner, with your family, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, suddenly very close contact. A lot of things that you may not have expected to pop up is going to pop up. So we're going to talk about how to deal with this, what to expect. And, when you're ahead of the game, when you know what's going to happen and how to deal with it, it's going to be a lot easier that you see the signs and you correct it. Doing preventive measures, always better than doing corrective measures. Okay. So, I live with my parents and just my dad. And Liza lives with her family. So, this is also very personal experiences for us that we're going to share with you. Okay. So, Liza, how is it for you that now you've had to reorganize your life? You had to bring work home, and do you have like a space at home that you're working? How's it happening at your place?
Well, my side is basically I have a space where, my husband and me, we carve out our separate working areas. So I have my working table and he would have his. So yeah, basically we do not see each other, yeah, when we are working. So only when we need to be with each other during lunch, during dinner, or stuff like that. So yeah, it's actually not that bad because for one thing that he and I have is we have a respect for each other's space. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
And
think
I
a
remember
lot
we
of
talked about this the last session too, right? That
yes,
the reason you have a really successful long-going relationship is that you give each other space and you respect each other's space. So I like it that you actually said we don't see each other. So you kind of still have that separation and then you meet for lunch and dinner, right?
yes. Well, basically, when we are working, we'll just do what we need to do, and then we'll just connect back when we need to, like for lunch or dinner. Maybe I'll just ask him in the evening what would he like to do. Would you like to watch a movie together? Would you like to have dinner? What would you like to have and all that? Yeah, we'll do that. We still do that. Just that because we are staying in an apartment, a condo, so the space is a little bit limited. So yeah, we'll just the kids will have their own space. Steven will have their own space, and then I will have my own space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it worked out pretty well for us during the lockdown. Not much of an issue. Yeah, and how about yourself with your father? How do you?
Yeah. So
Yeah, as
same
a
thing.
bachelor.
We're also yeah, two bachelors, right? So
Yes.
so same thing for us. We also have separate rooms, separate spaces. And then when we need to talk, so we still do the WhatsApp thing, right?
Mhm.
If I'm working, I think one of the things is that we're in very different industries. My dad's in real estate. I'm in pranic healing, and
Uh,
yourself and your husband too. You're in very different industries.
oh
So
yes.
what's important is that when you're at work, you're kind of in the zone, right? And you
Yes.
need that focus. You need that space to actually do your work and not be interrupted by other influences like household domestic influences.
Yes.
So having separate spaces is really key to firstly just to keep the space. I learned one thing through pranic healing and some of the senior teachers in pranic healing, right? there was this experiment, right? So maybe those of you watching, you want to do this too. If you put both your hands together, okay, if you can do this and rub them, right? After you rub this for some time, how does it feel? It gets
Hot?
a bit hot, right? Yeah. So the
Yeah.
reason for that is because there's friction. Anything that interacts closely, it creates friction, it creates a bit of heat, right? It's the same with relationships. When a few people, two or more people, are in very close contact, it creates that friction. So what we're doing, what Liza and I is doing, is just trying to create a bit of space, and then even when you interact, there's not so much friction, right? So it's still going to be there. And for those of you who still have a lot of friction, we're going to teach you how to lubricate this. The lubrication is love, okay? The lubrication to this is love. So one of the
I
things
think there
is
is
to
a saying
create
from
space for yourself.
Grandmaster, right? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think there
Yeah.
was a saying from Grandmaster, right? That when two people interact closely, there is friction. Yeah, the lubrication is love,
Love.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Where does this love come from? How do we get this love?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, right? It's easy to say love, but how do you actually put it in practice? How do you do this with
Right.
your family? Yeah, so you know, one of the things that we do is when it comes to we know about physical matter, about taking care of your body, right? Everything that goes into your body, let's say if you're talking about nutrition, you see what kind of food you're eating, you roughly understand what's going to happen to your body. So if you eat a lot of sugary food, you might end up with diabetes in a few years. Okay. If you eat a lot of high cholesterol food, you might have some fatty liver issues, things like this, right? So physically, we have a good understanding of the science, but in our lives, there's more than just the physical aspect, right? We understand there's physical matter. There's also emotional matter in our body.
Right.
So when we talk about being stressed, when we talk about being loved, when we talk about being angry or friction in relationships, all this is non-physical. All this is emotional matter. So
Right.
the lubricant to emotions is love. Positive vibrations, right? Having healthy food is the same as having healthy emotions. Okay.
Right.
So where does this come from, right? Where does food comes from the earth, from vegetables, from animals, and we make this into food. Where does your emotions come from? Where does healthy emotions come from? Where do negative emotions come from? So when you're living your life, like for you, Liza, when you're with your family, with your husband, with your kids, how are you being aware of your emotions?
Well, basically, I think for myself, I do a lot of reflection. Yeah. Basically, when we communicate with someone, right? From the past, from my experience, is we have an expectation. Expectation of how or what the person supposed to give us. We always look at outside, what our partner needs to do for us, rather than us, looking at within ourselves, inside ourselves.
So
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. It is so much of how you said, a lot of inner work that we need to do. Yeah. And I guess for myself that is what I needed, because I was struggling with fluctuation in my emotions, in my mental interpretation of surroundings, and I basically, it's not that I do not have a lovely family. I do, and lovely friends, but I was
It's just
struggling.
sometimes they ride on
you
your
know
nerves. We
you
all
know
have this, right? We all have this.
Yes, it's just like it's not optimal. You have something, but there is something lacking somewhere. that is something that you feel that is not fulfilled, right? Yeah, I enjoy my time with family. I enjoy my time with my kids. I enjoy my time with my friends. Yeah, but there is still something that was lacking. So when a best friend of mine gave me a book, all right, to tell me that, Liza, you need to read this book because this book is so much like you. And it was a book about by a doctor, yeah, Dr. Judith Olof, is about the survival for an empath, right? So when I read the book, I was one of the suggestion in the book. It says to do meditation. So I started to look for a venue for meditation, and I found a friend invited me to Breath of Life, and that was organized by Prana World at that time, yeah, before the MCO. And when I got into pranic healing, when I was learning about energy, I was learning about the chakra system. That actually connect a lot of dots in my life, and it has been quite a wonderful journey since. Yeah, the understanding our chakra system, actually understanding us, is about understanding ourselves. If we are able to know how our system works, that we are able to actually work it out within ourselves, right? So it's always we are hearing people, oh, you have to look within yourself, you have to, do meditation,
Yes,
you have
yes,
to do this,
yes,
this, this. But why do you need to do all that? You know?
yeah,
And I find that learning about energy, that helps
yeah.
me to understand why we do certain things. Yeah. And
And
this
that's how
book, I think,
yeah. So that's how
yeah,
also in your life you're starting to become aware of your relationships, of your emotion with your close ones. Yeah.
exactly. That's how
Yes.
I'm more in touch with my emotions. I know what I'm feeling. I'm more aware of what I'm feeling. So when I mean, definitely there will be friction, between partners, between, in the house and all that. But if we are able to look at it, to focus at it rather than concentrating on the problem itself, but we concentrate on finding a solution,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to take a moment, when a friction comes in, we just have to look at it without any judgment, yeah, being an observer of that situation, yeah. Take
Very
a time
nice.
out,
Yeah.
yeah. You have to, like, how do I say, we have to, before we react, we need to ask ourselves what we are going to react at. Is it necessary? Is it kind? Are we saying kind things? Are we hurting our
Yeah.
partner? And yeah, you just have
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. Mostly, I think it's the best
I
that,
find that what you're saying is, yeah, yeah, I find what you're saying is really good. So the awareness of your environment, and something that really helps with that I found, like, in real, like, everyday application is
yes,
making that a soothing, loving environment. One way is music. So you realize how your body moves differently to different kinds of music.
yes,
Some people chant mantras, and that's like very
mm-hmm,
spiritual, and
mm-hmm.
but that's like a whole different vibe. I noticed that when I'm at home sometimes, and I'm cooking, or even when I'm just taking a shower, or I'm doing something, right? I'm trying to get in the zone. I play certain music. So especially when I'm cooking, right? When I'm preparing meals for myself, or just cutting up some fruits for dad. What I do is I play some music in the background, so some uplifting music, and it just, like, pulls me out of my own head. Sometimes we overthink things because, like you said, you're working at home, you're very focused in your industry, in your work, you're creating that thought of work, right? So sometimes we're too much in our head about a certain thing, and then we don't realize that hey, we're not in the office anymore. We're now like with family, with kids, and sometimes music really helps to like soften the aura. It helps to
Yeah.
soften the emotions, and it goes like, let's take it easy because we have other people that we love around us, and they might be in their own thoughts, in their own zone where we need to. So music kind of harmonizes everybody into the same kind of vibe, right?
It's one part of an emotional nourishment, isn't it? Music is one of
Yeah.
the way that we can actually nourish our emotion. There's many ways.
Yeah.
Some like to dance, some like music, some like to sing, some like to they do a
Yeah.
lot. There is many activities that we can do. But how does this help the emotional body? How does this create the vibration that we want? Yeah. So by understanding that vibration are frequency and waves, right? So what is
Yeah.
frequency and wave? Yes. Science known it for a very long time that there are vibration of light, you hear the vibration of sound. Your nervous system actually interpret different levels of vibration into sight, into sound, into touch, into smell, and into taste, right? So basically, vibration is around us. It's just that we also create that kind of vibration with our emotion and our thought, right? So, we heard about we heard about good vibes, right? When you are connected with people, there are people who can sync with you, that vibe very well with you, and also there are people who it can be positive or negative. So you kind of like link or connected with the same wavelength, So it's exactly the same. So
Exactly.
if we want to radiate out good vibes, we have to input good vibes, right?
Yeah.
So basically, that's.
So I like how we covered
no,
this, right? The input for good vibes, like you were saying, is one of it. You started doing meditations, and so when you're like really still and calm inside, you also project that to the people around you. And then like what I do is music. So I like music just harmonizes. Everyone's listening to the same tone, the same tune, right? So everyone's like in the same zone now. We're all in the same wave. And I heard a third one actually. So coming back to about food, right? A lot of people see our external input into the body is mostly from the environment and from food. And people see food only as the physical nourishment, which is what we've been trained, the science has told us about, trained us to do, but there's actually more to it. So, one of the things I've been reading up and listening to is about the emotional vibrations of food. When you see a farm and, the animals are being slaughtered, what's the emotions that they go through? There's fear, there's confusion, there's anger, there's violence, there's death, and all this emotional vibration, it gets stored in the meat, right? It's somewhere in the body, right? We don't know exactly where it is, but we know it's somewhere in the body. And then once you take this meat, you chop it up and then you cook it and serve it. It's not only the physical part of the meat that you're eating, but you also have the emotional aspect that's carried together with that physical aspect. So when we consume this, then our energy also starts to digest the emotional matter, and our energy also starts to become a little bit lopsided. So, one thing I heard how to counteract this is when you're cooking, it's really good that the person who's cooking is also has the right, like you say, if you're doing meditation, you're listening to music, when you're in good vibes, your emotional matter is also going into the food. Yeah, and in Philippines, they have this saying, right? That sometimes when you're cooking, it's good to sing when you cook. So a lot of people, they get into this nice happy vibes, and then they cook, and that's why, a few things just connecting for me now. There's a lot of restaurants that goes like Mama's Kitchen or Mom's Cooking, or things
Yes.
like, because everyone loves mom's cooking, right? But not everybody's mom is the greatest chef on earth. But there is something there when mom cooks for you. There's this aspect of love that's infused in the food that make it taste nice, even though mom's not the greatest chef. But there's love in the food, because when a mom cooks for her kids, there is love, right? Love comes naturally for a mother. And that goes in the food. So it's the same when we get like food from other places. Sometimes we don't even know who makes our food anymore, So it's really good to keep those vibes as well and put that in the food. So if you're doing meditation and then you're cooking and then you prepare the food with love, you notice that the whole family also tends to have more love in their emotional matter, and they become more tolerant, more harmonious, more respectful.
Yeah, this is very interesting actually. I recall once this friend of mine, the her husband does not cook often. He's not a cook, right? But when he cook, the wife would say it's really tasty. You know, he'll just throw things into the pot, and then that's it. It's nothing. It's not like a chef that has a recipe or anything like that. But the food tastes lovely. So that is where I guess,
Yeah.
as you said, when the cook cooks with love, the food tastes really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
no matter what.
And
So
that
we are
mixes with
lifting
your
energy
own
positively,
vibration.
right?
Yeah, exactly, right?
So
We're all
you're
just beings
actually infusing
vibrating
it
at
in.
certain levels, right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
So yeah, it's very interesting. Actually, that's where this is what I love about energy. The more you learn about it, the more that you understand it, and then the more that you can actually make the energy work the way that you want it. You know, to actually create something that you want in your life. How do you want it? If you want peace, if you want love, then you actually can make that work for you. Yeah, it's very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
um you know th- I was reading something on there is a lot of articles about the universal law. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm sure we have heard about the law of attraction and law of cause and effect. That's very common,
Yes.
in all the articles. But have you heard of law of correspondences?
Yes, actually, I do know this one, but tell us more.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, most of us do, maybe at a very superficial understanding of this. Uh, what I read was it has to do with correspondence, it has to do with communication. All right. So, however, this isn't about our communication with another person, right? This is about our communication with a different part of ourselves, which most of the information that
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
read on the law of correspondence address the unique relationship between the inner self and the outer self. This is a very interesting topic because I feel that one, if you are able to reflect, be an observer and reflect inner as an observer, yeah, you actually make that energetic shift. You are able to make that energetic shift that vibrates in your aura that you can actually radiate out. The connection
yeah.
between you,
Exactly.
yes, your higher self. Yeah, that is one topic that I think is very interesting. Maybe next time we can have that topic.
Yeah, let's do this
Yeah,
next week. Exactly. I think this is a
yeah,
whole topic on its own, and I really want to know more about this. It's been a while since I read up on this as well, so it'd be really good if we do this next week, the next session, right?
yes, yes.
And
Yeah,
coming
I
back
think that is
to the
good.
vibrations, like yeah, coming back to the vibrations, like you said, one what I really love about pranic healing is that we start off with healing the body and learning how healing works. And then you realize you can apply it for anything else. So, in pranic healing, we're not actually touching the patient. All we're doing is cleaning the energy body. And, this is like you said, like vibrations and, we're emitting this emotional matter and things like that. So sometimes when you clean certain emotional matter, like stress from the body, the patient feels relieved already. Or we always get this feedback, right? That after healing, the patient says, I feel really light, I feel really, because we've just removed a lot of emotional matter from their system. It's the same with food, right? So, when there's, just to avoid any friction in the house, because a lot of people in close contact, we can do healing for the food. We can remove all this dirty energy from the food. And then one of the things, in most cultures, most religions, they also bless, they say thank you. They show gratitude for the food because the plants, the trees, the animals that contributed into creating the food, right? And so one thing is like removing the dirty energy and then infusing like good, clean, positive vibes into the food. And we can do the same for space as well. Like if you learn pranic healing, you can also, clean your space, clean your house with the exact same techniques. So, all this emotional matter, this lower vibration, it's so easy, like just to remove this and then just energize it, bless it, do your meditations, play nice music, and lift it up to higher vibes, right?
Yes, I guess now that you mentioned that, last time my mom used to do this, the Chinese, they would use the chameleon. Yeah, they burn the chameleon. It's like, I don't know what you call that in English. Chameleon is something that, it has a lot, it's like a rock, and then, you burn it and it has this smoke coming out of it.
Okay. So like a cleansing smoke, right? Okay.
Yes, it's actually to cleanse the area. And this has been practiced, for many, many, many years. From I think our ancestors' time and all that. It's actually nothing.
You know what occurred to
new.
me? This is the old school diffuser, right? We have diffusers with essential oils. This is old school diffuser.
I prefer those with the aromatherapy oil, the one that smells better, lavender or, lemongrass or something like that. Yeah, it smells even more better. Yeah, actually.
But same effect, right? Same effect. We're cleansing the space.
Yeah, sorry? There has been many practices that has been practiced since, God knows, ages, and it's nothing new actually, and it has to do everything to do with energy. Yeah. Basically around us, us, we everything got to do with energy. Maybe one day we'll talk about prosperity, and that also involves energy, right? So that is so
that
many
will be a
things
good topic.
Yeah, it'll be interesting topic also, right? So that is where I guess a lot of us, if we are able to understand, if we are able to know about energy, how it works, we can actually mold it to something towards what we want, right? Prosperity, harmony,
exactly.
With yourself, with your family, with your partners, a lot of things that that we can do with energy. So
it's just techniques and knowledge, right? And then once you have the techniques, it's just tools in your toolbox. Use what you feel like using, right? So the more you know, the easier you can overcome problems and you can make a better life for yourself.
Exactly. So it's not so much on how you do it. The step by step is important, but it's also understanding, the knowledge of understanding this step, how you do it. By understanding, I think the process for it will take even more. It will speed up even faster. Exactly like I think I like this example, like self-reflection that we do each time.
Yeah.
If we understand that looking at our emotion, being an observer of our emotion, we are actually pulling that energy out from the chakra. Yeah. Basically,
Yeah.
a lot of us, we suppress this energy in because we do, like if there is a argument, we do not want to, escalate into something big, and you tend to pull back that energy,
You're
and
so right, Liza. You really hit the nail on the head on this one.
yeah,
Suppressing stuff. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of people that does not understand. Suppressing is not a solution. Suppressing, where the
Yeah.
energy is, it gets embedded into the chakra. Yeah,
And then it's
and
just going to blow up like a volcano one day, right? You suppress so
yes,
much, and then it's
yeah,
not a
because you
solution.
pack
It's just
it
pushing
everything
problems.
in. You pack it so
Yeah.
deep, and
I think
when
you opened up a really good issue here that a lot of people are doing this.
yes, and when nothing triggers, nothing shakes us, is fine. You're just like the cat in the corner. Remember we were talking about. There's suddenly,
Yeah.
something triggers
It's just
it,
like
and it will
pants
just
out.
come out. Yeah, exactly. So this is where I think when I was doing my self reflection, I understand that by pulling that energy out, right? You are able to let it go, but we will need to actually do a impartial self reflection. Why I say impartial is because sometimes we only look at ourselves. We are looking at one area, but when you um, be an observer, you're actually looking at 360 degrees at the problem
Exactly.
as it is. Yeah. So that there you'll be able to actually find that solution. It's not so much on, oh, the solar plexus is talking and says, oh, no, you need to react like this or you need to react like that. No, you done this before, you promised this before. So the story will go on and go on, and the K drama inside you will be chatting and chatting and chatting, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, when we pull this energy out, and I find it the fastest way is when you are able to pull the energy out and you use pranic psychotherapy, that would be the fastest way. Yeah, for me, I mean, I
Exactly.
find it the
Yeah.
fastest way for myself. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I do. Each
It's
time
true.
I
It's true.
pull,
Yeah.
yeah, each time I,
Yeah.
sorry, each time I pull the energy out, I actually, run through a lot of things inside me. You go deeper and deeper. It's
Yeah.
just like peeling the skin of the onion skin, yeah, layer by layer.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
sometimes you think that you already solved that, but then when
But there are
an
many
issue,
layers to it, right?
yeah, correct. So an issue comes out, you feel like, oh, I'm reacting again. But if you are able to
Yeah.
peel that, all the layers away, you just feel that, I'm not shaken by
Yeah.
this issue anymore. I totally, am
Yeah.
so calm. Whatever comes up to me, I'll just look at it positively, and I will not react. I'll just respond what I need to do. Simple, isn't it?
I like you. I like how you said about the solar plexus is the center for lower emotions, and doing
Yeah.
psychotherapy on it is to pull out. I think we know this the same person. This this senior arhatic yogi. She says that pranic psychotherapy is like surgery. You just go in, you cut out what you don't want, you pull it out, and you throw it away.
Oh,
It's
that's
really like that, right?
all
Yeah.
right. That's a very,
So,
very interesting
yeah.
analogy.
Yeah, so I remember it stuck in my mind when she said this. She said pranic psychotherapy. So for those of you who haven't done pranic healing, this is the level 3 healing, right? So pranic psychotherapy is level 3. It's really like surgery. Once you have that awareness, like what Liza said, like you understand what it is that's happening and what you don't want. You just go in, you cut out that piece, and then you throw it away. It's really that
It's
simple.
so easy, right? Yeah, you just have to just go in. Okay, this is what I don't want. Discard. This is what I don't want. Discard.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's like you're going into the computer, into your hard disk. Okay, housekeeping time. What I don't like, I discard. What I don't like, I discard. So the space inside us grew bigger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that, I have been carrying a lot of emotion with me over the time. And once I start doing this, I feel really light. I feel, I'm not carrying that heavy energy. Yeah. Because most
Yeah.
of us, we are trained to work, we are trained to connect with our lower emotion instead of our higher
Yeah.
emotion. So it's
Yeah.
basically normal,
Exactly.
yeah. And we didn't
Yeah.
even know that we were doing that.
Yeah, because that's just the examples we see around the world. And when you start to engage in self-help and self-development, and you're interested to improve yourself, you start looking for things that you can improve. You start looking for problems, how you're not perfect. The problem with a lot of people is they have to, because of insecurities, we feel like we need to protect ourselves with our ego. We feel like we need to project that we're experts, that we never do anything wrong, that we cannot say sorry, because sorry is admitting that, we're at fault. And then there's this culture of pushing problems over to other people. The whole reason for this is because we're insecure. But once you start getting into self-help, once you start getting into self-improvement, you start to realize, hey, I can just pull all this out and genuinely be a better person, be a stronger, smarter, faster individual, right?
Yes, correct. I think that is very right. A lot of us, we are afraid to look inner because we are afraid to look
Yeah.
at our flaws. We are not able to accept us.
Yeah.
We have to be the perfect one. If you are able to come
Yeah.
in, yeah, that you have the balance, the yin and the yang. Yeah, the flaws are the challenge
Yeah.
that we need to overcome, and that's it.
Yeah.
The flaws are
And I
not
think
something that,
also, yeah.
yeah, the flaws are
And that's
not
the thing,
something that
right?
makes
When
us a
we,
bad person, right?
yeah, exactly, right? Your flaws does not make you a bad person. It's just you just need to be aware of them and work on them. So especially like what we're talking about today is that when you start spending a lot of time in a very close space, there's going to be a lot more friction, right? So
Yes,
being
correct.
aware of these things, your insecurities are going to spill over to the people around you as well. So if you already get a step ahead of this, so like what we shared today, practice some self-awareness, practice meditation, listen to good vibes, good music, also be aware of the food you're eating, maybe cooking together, having good, love in your food. All these things will help to lubricate the emotional matter in your system and also in your surrounding, right? And then that will make it a lot easier to be in close contact with people for the next 2 weeks. So
Right.
let's wrap this session up. Thank you guys so much for being with us. And
All right.
Liza, would you like to say anything to the people watching to help them?
Well, basically, it is getting along together. It's not that hard, yeah. Only if like Sundar has summarized out, the things that we need to look at within ourselves. Yeah, go in within ourselves, look at ourselves. Is so much more how you say achievable because dealing with ourselves, we are able to control that. We are not able to control outer, but we are able to control what is inside, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
basically, I guess we have covered quite a bit here. This topic is really large.
Cool.
There is so many things that we can cover. Yeah. Lastly, I would like to say that Grandmaster Chua, where our teacher is, and he has this quote that I like it very much. Yes, as you develop, the people around you also develop. As you progress, the world progresses with
Yeah.
you to a certain degree. Yeah. So make the change in
Perfect.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We'll make the change outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's a good way to end the session today. So thank you,
Great.
everyone, for joining us,
Thank you.
and see you next week. Okay.
See you.
Bye-bye and good
Bye.
night.